Welcome to Issues and Answers with your host Diane Kinderwater. Issues and Answers is presented as a public service to inform, educate, and better the lives of New Mexicans. And now, Issues and Answers with your host Diane Kinderwater.
Welcome to the program. I'm Diane Kinderwater. Have you seen this happen to someone you love, someone you know, someone you'd like to know? I'm talking about an epileptic seizure. Epilepsy is the fourth most common neurological disorder in the world. I don't know much about it. I haven't seen anybody have a seizure. Of course, I've heard about it, but I'm going to learn an awful lot more in the program today because I have Curtis Breitner. He started the Epilepsy Research Association in 2015, and he was very excited to be my guest on the program to tell his story, that he had his first seizure when he was only 5 years old, and the road to that seizure, and the road to him opening the Epilepsy Research Association. He wants to help other people, and he wants to inform all of us about this neurological disease so we have a better understanding of it. So please stay with us as we meet Curtis Breitner right after this.
Hey America, now there's a place where we can join our voice, Real America's Voice. Real America's Voice is coming to a town near you with a grassroots approach, bringing the real voice of America together. Real America's Voice is growing our family of networks across the country, and soon you could be part of that change. Download the Real America's Voice app and join other Americans just like you across the country, coming together for real.
Welcome back to the program. I'm Diane. I just did some research online because I know Curtis was going to be my guest, and I learned that epilepsy is a brain disorder that causes reoccurring unprovoked seizures. Well, that's kind of scary, right? Curtis, what do you think about that? I mean, you don't know what's going to happen, but it happened to you, and you're here on the show to share with us your story of epilepsy.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Tell me, you started this research association, but it started long before that you had an attack, and you're just a little kid, and your mom probably didn't know what to do or what was going on. So you wanted to come on the show and tell me about your story. So, Curtis, what's your story?
All right. So, when I was 5 years old, I was at kindergarten. That was my first seizure over there. Rushed to the hospital, and then put on some medication, and it kind of went dormant.
And the seizure, you probably were only 5, you probably don't remember, your mom probably remembers it, but what happened in kindergarten? What did you do?
I was in kindergarten. To be honest, I can't remember either after so many seizures in my life.
Have you had, okay. So what, I said it's a neurological brain disorder. Nobody really knows the cause of it. Nobody knows. We know that it's not contagious. We know that it can live with a person a lifetime or not. But you had your first seizure at 5, rushed to the hospital, medication, and then it went dormant until when?
Until I was 16 years old in high school. And
a bad time for anything to happen. A 16-year-old and bad to have anything happen in high school.
Yes.
Right?
Definitely. Yep, all in grade school. So
nothing happened in grade school.
Yeah,
went through.
Until.
Were you still on medication?
At that time, I was off medication.
Okay.
I went dormant, so they said, all right, take them off. And then,
what happened in high school?
Well, I was at my girlfriend's house and had a seizure. And first thing I remember is my father standing right above me. So it was very awkward. Did not get rushed to the hospital then, just went home and saw a neurologist soon after that. And put on more medication, of course, which I've been on for since then. And I'm 33 now, so it's been.
What do you recall of your seizures? What do you recall about them? Do you feel anything? Do you sense anything, or is it just the aftermath?
Yeah, well, it's called an aura, is when an epileptic kind of feels it coming. Some people don't have them, some people do. But mine personally, everyone's kind of different. You know what, I can't really describe it actually. It's just an interesting feeling. We're about 15 seconds before, and I usually warn a friend or family member if I'm close to them. Just kind of point at my head. They understand at this point after so many of them, and then just blacks out until I come to with people around me or my dog.
So your sensation is just blacking out, just
Yeah.
falling to the floor. If you're standing, falling to the floor. If you're sitting, passing out.
Yeah, I no longer have, after a brain resection, left temporal lobe, when I was 25. I was having tonic-clonics before, which used to be known as grand mals, but now I'm having absent seizures. And after some people have taken videos of them, I didn't know what I looked like, but I essentially just usually stand up and kind of stare off into the distance for about 30 seconds to a minute. So the procedure to remove a piece of my brain, it worked, so I don't have as severe seizures, but at the same time I'm still having seizures, but you know, I'll take the win. And the doctors at Mayo Clinic in Phoenix, they are spot on. And shout out to Dr. Crepeau, my neurologist over at Mayo Clinic in Phoenix.
So your seizures you would, in the past before you had the procedure, you just stare off?
Yeah, after that procedure, now instead of dropping to the floor, convulsing.
Oh, so you did do that. So you had people videotape you. So you just didn't black out. You were convulsing.
Yeah, no one.
What? Moving your arms and legs, or?
Yeah, essentially just convulse. And but no one. I don't have any videos of that because that was not everyone had
cameras to videotape everything.
Yes,
correct.
Exactly. But now I've gotten some footage of it, and I don't really like to watch it. It's a little disturbing for me, but
yeah,
it's very interesting to see.
So, as I mentioned at the beginning of the program, it says the fourth most common neurological disorder. It's a surge of electrical activity in the brain causes reoccurring seizures. It's a brain disorder. It's unprovoked, and if you have one or two unprovoked, then you're considered epileptic.
Correct. Yeah.
If you just have one and no other signs, not.
Yep.
High risk of having more. So you've had, how often when you were younger, before your procedure, would you have a seizure?
It was probably once every 2 months, but they would last a long time, which is why I had that procedure. But now they don't last as long, and they're not as severe.
I read that a lot of them just last 30 seconds or a minute.
Yeah, correct, yeah. Mine personally, yeah, 30 seconds to a minute. So it's not too long, but it's enough time for it to be dangerous, because if I'm walking around while I'm having a seizure, I can always fall, which I have before. I've hit my head on a brick wall before, had to get some staples in my head. It's actually happened quite a few times. And usually I'm alone, because I live alone. But I have a nice little dog, Poppins, who's always there when I come to.
So yours would last 8 minutes or a minute? A minute, I wasn't clear on that.
About 1 minute currently.
Prior they were about 8 minutes.
Yeah. Actually, a few months ago I had one that lasted 30 minutes to 45 minutes, I'm not sure. But yeah, I had to go to the hospital and sat there in the emergency room. It was pretty busy, of course, UNM hospital on a Saturday.
Why do you think you got epilepsy?
It can be genetic, and at a family reunion, my grandma, a relative of my grandma mentioned that she was staring off occasionally when she was a child. So I think it is that, or when I had my first seizure was shortly after I had a 104 degree
Temperature.
yes, for, I don't know, it was probably a few days. So it could have just fried something up in there, or it could have been a combination of each. The brain is very complicated.
What did the doctor say about that high temperature?
They said that could possibly be the reason why I started to have epilepsy.
Really? Have you done research to find out that could be the case, actually?
Yes, definitely. It could definitely be the case. If the brain is put under that much heat over an extended amount of time, it can definitely do damage.
Because there's a number of people who have had high temperatures like that, and I haven't heard that they could have had these.
Yeah, which could, maybe that triggered the genetic part to come out, but the brain is so complicated, and you know, my grandma, who's 80-some now, epilepsy was, you know, almost completely unknown. It was very, I mean, there was not much stuff known about it. So,
how's it affected your life? Tell the audience here if you're able to have a normal life or you're always on alert. But if you tend to have a sensation that it's coming, can't you prepare yourself?
yes.
Like sit down?
Yeah.
Sit down, or if you wear a bracelet, press the button so somebody knows you're having this. So tell us a little bit about how your life has been affected.
Well, I think the worst downside of it is not being able to go anywhere alone. It feels like you have to always have kind of a supervisor, because you know, there's a possibility I could have a seizure at any moment. But it's also in high school, you know, kids are brutal. So definitely people would make fun of me for that, which got me into some trouble. But
Sure. Well, kids bully kids.
oh, definitely. Especially high schoolers.
Kids are horrible. Kids are.
Middle schoolers, even worse. Yeah. But
So it affected you adversely at that young age, 16, having to come back. Of course, anything at 16 can put your life in a tailspin, really.
yes, definitely.
What high school did you go to?
I went to Cibola High School.
Okay.
Yes, graduated in 2008.
So did it just affect your entire high school years then since 16, or were you able to have a happy high school experience despite this?
I'd say it was a very happy high school, actually. Yeah, I have a
Good.
group of friends. I had a great group of friends, of which I'm still friends with, what was it, 15, 17 years later? And not many people can say that. So I'd say it was great. I didn't let it affect me. It could have, but it's all mental, how you respond to things.
What kind of assistance did you get other than medical assistance? Anything, psychological assistance on having to deal with this disease?
No, I never saw a therapist. I think the reason why is because I had such a great family and friend group. Everyone was just there for me, and I just went on with my life. Didn't want to hold me back.
And what did you do? Or what are you doing with your life, other than with your research association, which we'll talk about in another show? What did you do after high school?
I went to New Mexico State University down in Cruces. And currently I have plenty of hobbies, I suppose. But
What are your hobbies?
let's see, I would have to say, number one, my dog, of course. Plants, skiing, fishing is great. A lot of outdoor stuff. Try to get outdoors.
And are you working full time?
I work on this. Yes, I'm the only one The other two directors, they both have other full-time jobs, but you need 3 directors to start a nonprofit. So I just asked my neighbor, who is a accountant, showed up to his place randomly, said, "Hey, do you know how to start a nonprofit?" He said yes, he'd be a director. And then one of the friends from high school, he was my roommate at the time, and he said yes. Told him, "Hey, I need one more." So that's how I got 3, and that's how I started it all.
Started in 2015, your Epilepsy Research Association.
Yes.
And you wanted to do that. Why, Curtis?
I've wanted to do it since high school. So at Cibola, it was probably senior year when we all decided to go to New Mexico State. We were talking to each other. We're like, "Hey, what degree do we want to go? What do we want to be when we grow up?" A friend of mine, he said that he wanted to work for ESPN, be a sports analysis.
Sure. Of course. Sure.
Of course, actually, I wouldn't mind that either. That'd
Right.
be pretty fun.
Right.
And then
I've heard that one before.
Yeah, yes. And then another friend of mine, he wanted to be a detective. And I said, I want to start a nonprofit for epilepsy. It's just something that's near and dear to me, and I enjoy helping people. And yeah, it was just kind of meant to be.
And what you have this opportunity to tell people, and I have a whole list that we'll go through about the do's and don'ts, but what would you like to share about this disease that we don't know about?
There's so many things people don't know about it. It's
Okay.
not a rare, it's not considered a disorder. It's not a rare disorder. It's just kind of a unknown disorder. It used to be so stigmatized.
Why is that?
Well, I mean, you had, in the 1700s, 1600s, people would have a seizure, and everyone would consider them a
Possessed?
kind of, yes,
Alien?
exactly,
Or not?
Exactly, something extremely crazy. So it was kind of stigmatized, and I think it's slowly coming out of that, and I think pretty much is. But a lot of people with epilepsy don't like to mention it. It's interesting, either that or they just go on with their lives. But I have a feeling, it's just still a little bit stigmatized. But as science is progressing, people know a lot more.
Mm-hmm. And I was wrong because I called it a disease. You're saying it's a disorder.
Yeah.
A neurological, some synapse isn't connecting or it's firing.
Yes.
You try to describe it for me.
It's definitely, some people call it a disease, but it's known as a disorder. But yeah, pretty much what happens in we'll start with a tonic-clonic seizure.
Tonic-clonic.
Yeah,
Okay.
formerly grand mal, but they kind of switched the name.
You're saying grandma?
Grand mal.
Grant Mall.
Yes.
Okay.
Exactly, yeah, and that meant something in Greek, the Greek language, but they switched it up. And just during that kind of seizure, it's the whole brain that's just firing off. And then an absent seizure, which is the seizures I have, it's just one part of the brain that's firing off.
Okay.
Yeah. And
it always causes a seizure. I mean, not always, but when it fires off, they call them seizures. I mean, when your brain fires off, couldn't you do something extraordinary like write, compose masterful music? I mean, if your brain is firing off, is it always a seizure of falling to the ground and passing out? Or
yeah, essentially, I wish I could get fresh out of a seizure. That'd be great to totally just go on for it to open my mind up in there. But unfortunately, no. Usually just go to bed and sleep it off and put up with the giant headache afterwards.
Oh, that's the symptoms, the headaches?
Yeah, for most people, just have a huge headache for sometimes days. And
again, naively, I was thinking if your brain is just
God,
popping
that
off.
would be so great. Yes, I would definitely be some sort of artist. I do love painting, but I would definitely, if only.
Do you feel your life is normal? I mean, you chose to start a nonprofit on this, so it's really involved in your life, but you or others with epilepsy, are you living a normal life?
For the most part, I think that's by choice. A lot of people, I mean, their epilepsy is so severe where they cannot live a normal life, but I myself, I would say I live a relatively normal life. Maybe that's by choice, because I don't want it to affect my life. It's something that's not within my control, and try to go about it in a stoic way. And if something is not out of your control, try not to worry about it, because there's nothing you could do about it.
And this is out of your control?
Yeah, totally. I will have a seizure when I forget to take my medicine, which is rare, but relatively it's within my control. But I mean,
what does the medication do?
It prevents having seizures.
Wow.
Yeah, and there's an emergency medication that will pop me out of seizures sometimes. I have a VNS device. It's called a vagus nerve stimulator, which shortens the seizures.
And you're pressing to your chest. What's going on? What's going on there?
All right, so this thing right here, it'll fire off, and it's you can customize it how often it fires off for the length of time and how often it fires off. Mine's set, first it was set to 30 seconds every 5 minutes.
Wait, 30 seconds every 5 minutes?
Yes, and now it is, if I remember correctly, 30 seconds every 2 minutes, or...
30 seconds. No, that's really often.
Yeah, yes it is. And at first, it was extremely uncomfortable. I mean, it's basically electricity just going straight up to your vein through the vagus nerve. It was extremely uncomfortable at first, but you slowly get used to it. I don't even notice it anymore. And I have a magnet, so if I feel like I'm having a seizure, swipe a magnet over it, and it really fires off, next level. And that is very actually uncomfortable, but sometimes it's necessary, and sometimes I don't even remember because I have had a seizure shortly after. But it is supposed to shorten the seizure.
So it's a device that sends impulses through your vein to your brain?
Yes, exactly. Through the vagus nerve, goes up.
Oh, through the the nerve or a vein.
Yeah, essentially.
It just sends like an electric pulse.
Essentially.
And this is happening 24 hours a day?
Yeah, every day this thing's going off every 2 minutes. 2 or 3 minutes for 30 seconds. I never noticed it, but like I said, at first it was extremely uncomfortable.
Your body got used to it.
Yeah, exactly. You just ignored it. Don't even notice it at all. But
and do you think it has helped?
Yeah. Well, me personally, I can't. They usually end up. It doesn't. It shortens the seizures. It just doesn't stop it in its tracks and not have a seizure. But family members and friends have noticed that the seizures have shortened when I activate this.
But also you have medication.
Yes.
And you had brain surgery?
Yeah, a left temporal lobe resection. So they essentially take a piece of your skull out and then remove a piece of brain put the skull back on.
And that's supposed to prevent or shorten?
It was supposed to prevent, but it ended up just shortening and switching the seizures from the tonic-clonics to the absent ones. So it was interesting, a very interesting experience. Yeah, in the hospital for, I don't know, almost a couple weeks, and it takes 3 surgeries to get to that. So yeah, but like I said, the Mayo Clinic doctors, Dr. Crepeau and Zimmerman was the, so shout out to Dr. Zimmerman, the surgeon who did that. Very cool guy.
Anything else about your life experience? Because we're going to talk to you about your Epilepsy Research Association next show, more about the disorder. But anything else you'd like to share with people about your experience?
Well, I'll give anyone with epilepsy watching this, try not to let it take control of your life. It does impact us, but like I said before, it's out of our control. It might be easier said than done, but it's out of our control, so try not to worry about it.
And if they can see this program, we have, and to the rest of the viewers, you have an event, and I'll say real quickly, on December 15th.
Yeah, December 16th.
16th.
Yep, Kendra Scott, Albuquerque, New Mexico, and Uptown at 1 o'clock.
And what's going to happen there, Curtis?
They will give us 15% of everything taken in that time frame, 1 to 2 o'clock.
Oh, they're having it's a jewelry store.
Correct, yeah. And yeah, so it's basically a fundraising, and you could also buy the jewelry online 24 hours in advance, and the same 10% or 15% will go to us.
That's kind of creative.
Yes, and everyone at Kendra Scott is, they are very cool and easy to set up.
December 16th.
Yes.
Thank you, Curtis Breitner, for sharing your story, and we're going to talk to you next time about your research institute. So thanks for watching this program. I'm Diane Kinderwater. Make it a great week with your family. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
The New Mexico Modern Child Support Family Program works to benefit both parents for the purpose of improving children's lives. It provides the basics of child support, but goes further by helping parents step up to find better job opportunities that get them back on track to paying their monthly child support obligation. Find out how the Child Support Step Up program can help your modern family. Contact New Mexico Child Support today to learn more.
Issues and Answers with your host Diane Kinderwater is presented as a public service to inform, educate, and better the lives of New Mexicans. To comment on today's program or to purchase a copy of any Issues and Answers program, visit sunbroadcasting.org or call us at 505-345-1991.